And now you want justice. Obviously, you want justice and you deserve justice. And the government, so far, is refusing for the paedophile abuse scandal at Kincora to be included within the scope of the Westminster inquiry that was established by the Home Secretary Theresa May.
Right.
And the reason that I've tried to get you to go over so much testimony in detail, Richard, as uncomfortable as it is for you to tell and it is for people to listen to, I feel it's necessary for people to hear that level of detail for them to then understand why you would be so angry that the government is not allowing your abuse scandal and abuse like you have encountered in Belfast to be included within the Westminster inquiry. Now, what message does that send out to you?
Well, that sends the same message that they tried to do back in 1979. You got to understand, and I'm going to have to mention this, Colin Wallace was getting the right information. I mean, he was on the right path. He knew something else was going on.
Explain to people who Colin Wallace was.
Colin Wallace was one of those, he was one of the captain, or he was in the media, and they removed him from his post.
Yeah.
He was in the Army. And he would be, you can connect the dots because you're a very smart man, Stephen. He was removed in 1975 when I entered Kincora. Is it Brand Camet?
Yep.
He was removed from England in 1976. Okay? The activities of the abuse increased when I went to Europa. I started acting out by looking for these people and breaking into homes with me and Stephen and Billy.
And this,
and
Richard,
that, they couldn't control it anymore. We got out of control.
And this, Richard, is Stephen Warren, who jumped to his death on a boat to Liverpool.
Yes. Maybe he came back too soon.
He killed himself.
That's what I don't understand today, why nobody's really investigating that. If he was confined, this is what the witness says, he was confined because he made threats that he was jumping over. He had alcohol in him. But then they decided to let him go and run around in the front of the boat again. That does not make sense.
You've also
heard that on an airplane.
You've also heard allegations, Richard, that...
Go ahead.
You've also heard allegations that MI5 was involved in covering up the sexual abuse of children in order to protect an intelligence gathering operation that ran in Northern Ireland in the 70s. Now, do you think those allegations ring true?
I think some of them ring true, because based on what happened to me in London. And that's a legal matter that I really don't want to get into, but things happened to me in London that definitely indicates that. And something happened at Kincora House outside Larne and Ballyclare and other things. Something badly went wrong in Kincora House with two men.
But why would you think the security forces were involved?
I believe the security forces were involved is that they had some connections to the Orange Order, and that some of the homosexuals were in the Orange Order, and I was meeting people in the Orange Order, and I'm not saying all the Orange Order are, I'm just saying there are people that I did meet, and the people that Joseph Maine asked me to go and meet, because some of these people would come up on the bus. They didn't come up in the cars all the time. They came up in the bus. They came in. I would go with them, take the bus downtown, and somewhere in Royal Avenue near North Street, there was a rental place. And then they would go in and rent a car, and then off we go to Larne or Portrush or Ballyclare, and sometimes Newcastle. And something happened at Ballyclare, Kincora House. There was a fight. We were outside. There was like a major situation happened. Two cars came up to the front of the hotel. I was drifted away from the two guys. Those two guys were put into a car. I was put into another car with three men. I was sitting right in the middle. One was to my right, one was to my left, and then you had the driver, and then they took off. And they brought me back to Kincora by the side door. And Mr. Maines knew about this because he had a telephone call. He knew I was coming back. I knocked on the door. Mr. Maines opened up. He told me to go to my room, and he said not to say anything. And then, getting back to the real story about Kincora, the witness that they did want to have at the time of the trial in 1981 are the ones who were working on the outside. Two of them already had died.
Richard,
I was still around.
Richard, were there ever any high-profile politicians, either in Northern Ireland or England, involved in your abuse?
Yes, there were, but that is something I'm talking that I had some legal matters with that, and I really don't want to discuss that. But I can answer yes to that.
Would any of those politicians be still alive?
Well, that's what they're looking into in England. One just has passed away.
But I guess
there was others.
I guess I'm asking you: are the police looking into that now?
I believe so.
Have you given evidence to the police, Richard, that high-profile politicians abused you?
I have given evidence to the police, and I haven't used those words, but I have given some names, yes.
And were any of those names high-profile politicians?
I'm not going to say right now why this is an ongoing investigation.
Okay. I guess I'm not asking you to name them, but I'm just trying to get a sense here, because there will be some people, Richard, that feel that some people in this society are untouchable. And this is why I'm asking you. That if some people have a certain level of status in the country, that they get away with abusing children. And that's the reason why I'm asking you, for no other reason. If there were people who would be household name politicians that for many years now have got away with abuse.
Well, some of them died. A lot of them have died. A couple of months ago, some person died. And I think you all know it, but I'm not going to get into that. I have evidence of that. But that's something that we're in the process of getting through that, where this inquiry leads.
Okay.
79 is when they asked me, or the beginning of 1980, they asked me to leave England. And they give me a ticket at the side of the Europa Hotel where a bus is. Told me to take the bus to the boat and go to England. And then they came to visit me in England 3 times. First time they interrogated me. They put me in a cell for 7 hours.
Who interrogated you?
The police. Whoever they were plainclothes people. They came to my place where I was staying.
Interrogated you about what?
About what I have said. And I was told not to say anything. And they said, if you say lies, we can put you away. And this was during the time that the investigation where they wanted to narrow it down to McGrath and Joseph Maines and Mr. Semple.
But it was bigger than that.
I'm explaining to you that this story isn't about those 3. Yes, they did some bad things to me. Not all of them. Just Joseph Maines. Mr. McGrath tried his way out with me, but Joseph Maines got him to back off.
Can you tell me, Richard, can you tell me now what life is like now? What are the flashbacks like?
I'm coping with life one day at a time. It hasn't been easy. I deal with it. The best way where I deal with it today is to try to live in the moment. But I'm just thinking, this is not really all about me now. I've gotten a lot of help. I've gotten a lot of support. I'm learning to trust people who care about
But the abuse still has an impact to this day, doesn't it? It's affected you to this day.
Yeah, it has, but I'm working on that.
How does it affect you? How does it affect you to this day, Richard? What does it do all these years later?
Well, it affects me in lots of ways. It could affect you in relationships, trusting people. You get angry and you wonder why. You keep secrets that stays with you. You start to isolate, and you don't believe that nobody cares or nobody's listening. You got to understand, Stephen, the most important thing about this, they didn't want me to come to the trial. I was the real witness, because I could have opened up. This whole thing could have been looked at back in 1980.
Who talked you out of coming to the trial? Who tried to stop you?
Because they knew our evidence back then that we were taken to hotels.
And the police asked you not to come?
Yes. They came to me 3 times, twice in London and once in Preston. They came to my place in King's Cross. And they said these words to me: you need to change your lifestyle. And you need not talk anymore about this. They didn't want me to come up as a witness. So they were playing a smoke and mirror games.